Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Shelley Plumb. I'd like to welcome you all back to this segment of From the Hip. Today we are going to switch gears. We are going to talk about teenagers. Yes, I said it, teenagers. I know a lot of you out there have teenagers in your house, and there are so many issues that pop up. And I think it's that struggle, right, between being a child and transitioning into adulthood. And one thing that I just had a conversation with my oldest son about is college. College, you know, whether we should get loans out, should he pay for it, student loans. I mean, I'll share with you personally, I went through the student loan mess and it was not fun, and I definitely don't want that for my children, and I'm sure a lot of you out there are struggling with something similar. So in a moment we will be right back, and what we are going to talk about is college and college planning. We have Wendy and Payne with Centurion Wealth Management with us, and she is going to kind of navigate us through the college planning, and possibly we'll learn some things that can prepare us for the future. We'll be right back. Well, hey everyone, we are back and we are here with Wendy. How are you, Wendy?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're here. And I know we've had a lot of conversations about college and teenagers and planning. And I'll tell you what are some of the things that you see people making mistakes with regards to college planning?
Loans.
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 Okay, I will speak from my standpoint. I've had loans in the past and not fun at all.
So student loans sometimes are a necessary evil. It's important to understand there are two types of student loans. You have subsidized, you have unsubsidized. A subsidized loan, essentially, you're paying an interest rate, and that interest accrual is sort of suspended, if you will, while the student is in college.
Okay, that's a subsidized.
That's a subsidized a student loan, and usually subsidized loans, well, they do, there's not usually, they do have income limitations. So if your family earns, your parents earn over a certain income threshold, which is kind of low in the ballpark to qualify for a subsidized loan, you know, not everyone qualifies for that. So it's more of a need-based loan that makes it more affordable. Versus the unsubsidized loan, you're paying an interest rate. Typically that interest rate is higher for an unsubsidized loan. And guess what? It's accruing interest, and the balance of your loan is growing while you're in college.
Oh, that's terrible.
Right.
I mean, because you think of the average college is 4 years.
Yes.
You could accrue quite a hefty bill at the end. Am I correct?
Absolutely. And the amount that you borrow on the front end is less than what you're going to owe at the back end. So, you know, you're graduating from college, and these students a lot of times are saddled with quite a bit of debt, and they're starting off their adult working life behind the 8 ball. Mind you, we haven't even talked about going to grad school or med school.
Yes.
That really just exacerbates the situation.
And these days, a lot of kids are opting to do the grad school or get their master's, get their doctorate in different things. So, yeah, and that's, I was having that conversation with my oldest son, because right now he's 16. He's starting to think about college. He's starting to prepare and doing his community service, and we're talking about, you know, funds and you know, he originally was saying, well, I'm just going to go to college anywhere in the United States. And you know, I started talking to him about the bills going out of state, and you know, the difference between staying in state and going out of state, and you could see it really connecting in his head. So how important is it for us as parents to have that conversation with our kids?
It's very important, and it starts before you're talking about college. You're talking about finances in general, because for children to understand, where does money come from and how can I utilize it the best how can I get the most out of my dollar, right? Or
Right.
the most out of my parents' dollars. Because
Sure.
parents' dollars, by the way, kids that are out there watching, we are not an endless ATM, I promise you. So,
Wait a second. To my kids out there, did you hear that? Say it again.
yes, we are not a never-ending ATM. But no, honestly, stretching the dollars, whether they're yours, whether they are your parents', as far as you can is really important to understand. So starting with that financial lesson and then applying that to college costs, not just college tuition, but the room and board.
Yes.
Studying abroad maybe for a semester or two, that type of thing.
Right.
A lot of families will opt to, or students and families will opt to start at the community college level or the very local college level for 2 years and then transfer to another university. It's more cost effective. That doesn't work for everyone, of course, but some families will opt to do that. But weighing out the pros and cons and how are you going to pay for college and understanding what does that debt look like on the other end when I graduate?
Yes.
Going to this school versus that school.
Right.
So it's important to look at not just the future, but looking at the long term and what that could mean to your cash flow once you become an occupational therapist or you become a psychologist or a financial advisor, whatever it may be.
Right, right. And, you know, and again, continuing with my conversation I had with my son, sometimes when you're just about to embark in college, it's so exciting, isn't it? So he's not necessarily thinking of when he's 30 or 40 or 50, right? So I was telling him, you know, I had student loans and how long it took and how many payments I made to get them paid off. And he was shocked. He was absolutely shocked. Actually, one other thing that I wanted to ask you about, because we were having a conversation, I'm sure our viewers would really love to know the information on here, is co-signing for loans.
Yes.
That is a big, very confusing for me. Can you clear up, should we ever co-sign for a loan for our children's education?
It depends is the answer.
Okay.
I have my own personal opinion, which I will keep to myself for this recording. However, the financial answer is that when we co-sign for anything, for anyone, you are essentially earmarking part of your borrowing power, which also is limited,
yes.
right? You're sort of earmarking that for someone else's purposes. So I have a client whose grandchild just graduated from college. She has $70,000 of student loan debt. $70,000.
Wow. Okay. That is a lot.
That's a lot. And here she is launching out in life, and she has a job. It's a decent salary for just being out of college, but she's not able to live on her own or pay for an apartment. She really can't afford to pay back these student loans on the terms and the interest rate that she has. So she goes to Grandma and she says, "Hey, Grandma, I'm going to consolidate my $70,000 student loan debt into one loan for 15 years at a lower interest rate.
Okay.
And that payment, my cash flow will support. I just need you to co-sign so that I can get this lower interest rate so that I'm not upside down in my income and expenses month over month."
Okay.
So Grandma is much older. She's in her mid-70s. She is not in the best financial situation herself.
Okay.
She has very low income, and she co-signs this loan unbeknownst to me. So now part of Grandma's financial plan is sell her home, downsize, and be able to finance the next home. Well, now she's just earmarked $70,000 of that borrowing power for the grandchild. She's not going to be able to do this now.
That is...
It's heartbreaking. So
it is heartbreaking. I would never thought that.
Understand the repercussions of co-signing, and it varies. If she were the mother or the father, and you have two people, two incomes coming into the household, and you co-sign, that's a bit different than someone who is retired, only receiving Social Security and income.
Right.
Very different outcome there.
That's fascinating. Another thing that my teenage son brought up is the having an apartment versus staying in the dorms. Do you have an opinion on that?
I think there are pros and cons to both.
Really?
So obviously, staying in a dorm, it's a bit more cost effective from many standpoints. However, sharing more community, common areas in the living dorm itself, probably not the most sanitary of living conditions. So perhaps maybe that student will catch the flu more frequently or whatnot, or strep throat. So it could be a negative cost effectiveness to that aspect.
Right.
living on your own in an apartment, if you are by yourself, truly that cost likely could be higher than what it is for living in a dorm. But if you rent share with other people, that could be more cost effective. You could make it affordable for your family and for yourself. And I think also, playing house, so to speak, without that long-term commitment teaches skills and experiences that I think are positive.
Yes.
So there's a trade-off, but from a financial perspective, I believe the dorms to be more cost effective.
More cost effective, at least in the beginning. Yes, especially since they're just getting out onto their into their own. They really haven't been on their own before. So speaking of teenage awareness, I shared with you that my son just got his first job. We're so excited. He just got a job, and so now we're thinking about bank accounts and checks and debit cards, and how important is it? And I'm wondering this because my husband and I were having a conversation with him about credit. And credit is horribly confusing for me, and it was doubly for him because he's never really been in the credit, the concept before. So how important is it for a teenager or somebody just getting out of high school to have a credit card? That's a loaded question, I know. So,
no, I'm thinking about my own, my children when they were teenagers.
Yes.
Credit card and debit card are two different things.
True.
Okay.
Yes.
Having a debit card, obviously you need access. I suggested to my children, if they were going to get a credit card, get basically at a gas station where you're only getting fuel. You're limited in what you're going to use that for. But it's something you have to pay off every month. I said, you really need to pay it off every month, or you're going to continually get behind the 8 ball. And interest rates for credit cards, especially for young people, are very, very high.
Right.
As we're parenting our kids, we tell them, trust has to be earned, and it takes a long time to earn. And once you've lost it, it's really quick to lose, and it takes a long time to build it back up. Credit's the same way.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to build good credit, and a misstep, whether it's inadvertently or just carelessly, you lose the credit, it goes down and drops, and you limit your options if you have a problem in the future.
Right. So with regards to finances in teenagers and college, is there any resources that you can recommend that, well, twofold, we as parents can access to get information on, college loans and maybe scholarships, or and then the second fold of that is, the teenagers, education on finances, the importance of credit. Is there any resources that you know of?
So yes, well, first off, absolutely work with your financial planner.
Right.
As far as what will be the anticipated cost for college once you have identified maybe where they will go or have an idea. Will it be an in-state school? Will it be out of state? Will they live at home? Will they live in the dorm? Will they live in an apartment? You have to kind of identify what you're targeting to find out, maybe what will those costs be and where will the funds come from. Again, we have scholarships. Apply for every scholarship that the student may be eligible for. It could be based upon their GPA, their academic achievements. It could be civil and volunteering in civic organizations. They could be religious organizations. It could be need-based. Could be merit-based. There's all kinds of different scholarships out there. Work with your local school, your high school, on that side of the equation, and then also at this college level. What college? So if they're going to go to Florida State, go to the financial aid department there. Talk to that person, and they will help match your student with which scholarships are available. There are also grants. Most federal grants are need-based, of course.
Okay.
So that may not apply to everyone.
Right.
You have the pay-as-you-go method. For mom, grandpa. The student could have work-study program, whether it's at the school, or they could get a part-time job and pay for it on their own. But saving ahead of time is really key, trying to save in advance.
Right.
But you have to get the teenagers' buy-in when it comes to college.
Yes.
So I say, hey, let's go shopping for a car. Let's go. They're in the front seat.
Oh, yes.
They're in the front seat.
Right. They'll leave without you.
Right. So, and they're looking at this car versus that car, and they're weighing all kinds of things.
Yes.
They need to have the same enthusiasm when it comes to college, planning for college, which college they're going to go to, what's it going to cost,
Yes.
What effort and time dedication is it going to take to maintain the GPA where it needs to be in order to continually apply for scholarships as they progress along their college career?
Right, I agree. I agree. Wow, this has been a lot of information. So wonderful. So we're going to take a moment and take a break with our sponsor. We will be right back. Microgerm Defense is a green antimicrobial product. It is approved by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and comparable regulatory bodies around the world. It wipes out 99.99% of harmful germs and viruses with its non-stop active protection. The process for application is easy, fast, and safe. For more information, email info@microgermdefense.com or call 1-855-282-3338. All right, so we are back, and I'll tell you what, you are a wealth of knowledge. I love this.
Thank you.
I hope I'm going to show this show to my teenagers too. So one last question I had, when we were on the break, is 529 plans. Can you go over, first of all, for people out there who have little ones that really don't know a lot about it, what they are and how important they are? Is there alternatives?
Okay, so a 529 plan essentially is, you've heard of this group called the IRS, right? So the IRS has this code,
No.
529, which is that's the name of the tax code section that the IRS has written here. That is a way that you can save for college for your children or grandchildren or other family members or whatnot. There are two tranches to the 529 plan. There's the prepaid tuition, which a lot of people are familiar with. I find more people are familiar with the prepaid tuition concept than the 529 investment account concept. So I'll bypass the prepaid tuition. Basically, it protects against inflation. You basically are paying for college tuition at today's rates for the students to go and at some point in the future.
Okay.
Locks in the current rate if they are in state.
Right.
The 529 investment account is essentially a way to invest money that is for the purpose of going to, for education. It can be public, it can be a private school, it can be in the U.S., it can be overseas, as long as it's an accredited institution, maybe a vocational school, room, board, tuition, books, the whole thing, not just tuition.
Gotcha, sure.
The monies go in, they hopefully grow tax-free, meaning you don't pay income tax on any of the dividends or any capital gains tax on the earnings throughout the timeline of the account. When you take the monies out to pay for your son to go off to college,
yes,
you do not pay tax on the growth of those funds either.
Oh, that's good.
And it doesn't matter if again, goes to a public school, a private school, lives at home, lives in a dorm or whatnot.
Right.
A lot of those costs can be, paid for or covered by that 529 account, and you decide what you're putting into that account, how much.
Yes.
Around the holidays and around special occasions such as birthdays and whatnot. You can always become a little marketing department for your child and say, hey, grandma and grandpa.
That's true.
Right, instead of buying yet another thing that they're going to pay attention to for like 12 or 13 minutes, just write a check, put it into their college fund. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
It is.
It's so important. And it really helps lighten some of the load on the parents too. And again, if that can grow and have that compounded growth, it can be a very powerful gift that will be very rewarding for that student in the future.
A powerful gift that will hopefully prevent a lot of people from having to go get those loans that we talked about.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, Wendy, you have been wonderful, and I want to thank you for being here. For people out there that are watching us and they want to know more about you, your organization, or even to work with you, where can they find you? They
can find me, so Centurion Wealth Management. Our home base is Northern Virginia, but we also have a location in West Palm Beach, Florida. You can go to our website at centurionwealth.com, or you can reach us by telephone at area code 571-765-1890. We're happy to help you as much as we possibly can. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This has been great. Well, my goodness, we have learned so much today, or at least I have. I hope you have as well. Wendy is a wealth of knowledge, and I'll tell you what, I am going to go home. I'm going to have a renewed conversation, not just with my oldest, but with my other children as well, because there really is a lot to do with regards to planning for a proper future, for sure. So this has been another segment of From the Hip. This is Dr. Shelley Plumb. Until next time.